Think about 2001. It was Jay-Z this, Nas that. Everyone forgot about Dre.
It's the one thing that we cannot forget about that year.
I still take the original Chronic any day of the week. 2001 just sounds like Dre doing an Eminem karaoke. All of his verses were written by someone else, but with Snoop, it was seamless. Consider the end of Ain't Nothing But a G-Thang. I say it the way it's spelled.
You're way too white to be having this conversation. Speaking of which, we were talking about Forrest Gump.
We were? When?
Remember that one time in the other diner? The one that burned down?
Nobody's concerned that he just called Zemeckis a racist.
The diner burned down 3 years ago.
By accident, I'll bet. Anyway, Daniel had just proven that Back to the Future was actually about Marty going back in time and stealing credit for rock and roll and civil rights from black people.
Oh yeah, that was a solid win for me. And then you implied that Forrest Gump was racist.
Ah! And I hadn't even seen it!
And then we all just stopped talking and finished our meals in silence and went home.
Yep. Anyway, I finally just watched it, so now I demand we discuss it. Classic thesis in honor of the throwback theme.
I got to.
Oh, it works for me. I just rewatched it for like the 5th time a few days ago. I never realized how much that movie beats the shit out of the left wing. The protesters at the rally in Washington just sort of wander around aimlessly with no direction. They put Forrest on stage by accident, and the boyfriend wears that red band on his arm that is weirdly
A lot
Nazi-esque.
of people wore red bands. Rambo.
And then he beats the shit out of his girlfriend.
Rebuttal retracted.
Jenny succumbs to the hippie leftist agenda, and it makes her contemplate suicide, get AIDS, and die.
But more importantly, every single one of the hippies that Zemeckis shows us is ugly as fuck.
The one sin a Soren can't forgive.
I think he's just a populist.
I think you mean the popularist, which I am. But grammatically, I'm pretty sure it's most popular. In fact, I know it is from my yearbook.
The Zemeckis version of history is to depict things the way an American majority remembers them. The way they would look in a Bud Light commercial about history.
Right! It's exactly like Back to the Future. Gump goes through history taking credit for stuff black people did and being super white while doing it. Daniel, please footnote my evidence. He gives Elvis the idea for his dance.
Elvis actually stole his dance moves from black artists like Bo Diddley and Calvin Newport.
At that protest rally, there's a Black Panther shouting at Forrest when Forrest sees the hippie punch Jenny, and he keeps shouting at the air that Forrest was standing in when Forrest runs off. Like he's just a big box of angry race agitation, so focused on yelling he's not even aware of his surroundings.
In reality, the Black Panthers were actually socially moderate and only carried guns to defend themselves because they were being murdered in their beds.
He runs for his life from a bunch of rural white kids pelting him with rocks from a truck for being different.
Obvious lynching implications that I somehow missed. Are you sure you just watched this for the first time?
He helps the first black students break the color barrier at the University of Alabama, which he only gets into because his superior athleticism makes him a star kickoff returner.
I'm not touching that one.
And then there's the ping pong thing. The thing pong?
What?
Wasn't that also a black guy? Pele? Pingle? Something like that.
No, but the guy who stopped the Watergate burglars was black.
He goes around stealing the very few accomplishments that mass culture recognizes black people for in the 20th century. Instead of Marty going back in time to give them their big idea, or Elvis taking their music and dance, it's Forrest living it. He is Black History Elvis, except white, borderline retarded, and a naturally gifted athlete. What the hell is that supposed to mean, Zemeckis? That is super racist. And me pointing it out is not racist, by the way. I want that pointed out. Not racist.
It's not exactly subtle. I mean, they start the movie by saying that Forrest is named after the guy who started the Ku Klux Klan.
And then there's the feather.
Oh, well, see, I always thought that that was a symbol for the unbearable lightness of being. Very, very stupid. Michael?
I am happy a lot of the time.
What book does he put the feather in?
He puts a feather in a book?
And that book? Mein Kampf.
Curious George, the original one, the first one, where the man in the yellow hat kidnaps George from Africa, puts him on a boat, brings him to the city where he is put straight right into jail.
Okay, now that is racist.
Soup's racist. It's almost like he wanted us to catch him.
I don't know, maybe he's just a dick. I mean, let's look at how he treats women in the movie. So Forrest's mom runs a boarding house for men just passing through, and she screws his principal so loudly that he can do an impression of it. It's a Don Draper shit, but in Forrest Gump, it's a laugh riot.
I grew up in Pennsylvania in a whorehouse.
Yeah, she really should have gotten a babysitter.
Of all of the iconic people that Forrest runs into, we get one famous woman. Marilyn Monroe in a photograph in JFK's bathroom.
Right, they never show the woman president. What an oversight.
Oh, is that the most notable thing that a woman did in the 20th century? Screwing her way into the Oval Office so that she can be double teamed by two Irish guys for a few minutes, allegedly? Beyond that, it's just two of the least likable hookers ever portrayed on film. And a few audience stand-ins at the bus stop.
Oh, Forrest offers chocolate. Women love chocolate.
Bubba's mom gets rich.
Yeah, but exactly 0 lines. Which brings us to Jenny. Sweet, sweet, innocent Jenny. And the first time that we see her as a grown-up is in Zemeckis' favorite shot. Woman getting roughed up in a 50s Chevy and then getting saved by her man.
They're not exactly the same. Lorraine falls in love with her rescuer. Jenny yells at Forrest and asks her date rapist to stay. Ew, you're right.
Zemeckis portrays her as a sexually confused basket case that then becomes a sexually abusive basket case back up in her dorm room. And then it's just back and forth between those two things until the sexual Grim Reaper comes a-calling. And women are either manipulating men or getting saved by them.
Tastes like cigarettes.
No, not always getting saved. Remember what Forrest said about Jenny's dad?
He was a very loving man. He was always kissing and touching her and her sisters.
Why didn't that line become a
And
catchphrase?
the worst part about that is that there is absolutely no way that Forrest could have come up with that euphemistic phrasing for child molestation on his own. He's basically just a parrot for things that adults and authority figures say.
Almost as stupid as a stupid does.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh, God. That means that Forrest overheard someone say that Jenny's dad was just a very loving man, which means that Greenbow, Alabama is just this weird sexually permissive hive of secret incest and abuse.
Or he heard it from Jenny's dad and believed the excuse. He just sat there and watched it with that dumb smile on his face, and Jenny knows that. And so in her ruined, sexually wires crossed mind up in her dorm room, somebody has to witness that happen to Forrest just like he watched it happen to her. It's only fair.
I think I ruined your roommate's bathrobe.
I don't care, I don't like it anyway.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this Forrest Gump special episode of After Hours. They're all special.
I think so.
In their own way. Please don't forget to subscribe for more episodes like this and not like this.
Yeah. Or if you'd like, say who you thought had the best point in the comments, and also if you have any episode ideas or thoughts that you think would be cool for us to do as an After Hours, just put them in the comments below, and then we will steal the ideas.